Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it. And we are always glad to bring you updates about people who are providing care to the community. We always love to be able to touch base and talk with those people who are doing that and overseeing the type of care, especially to our seniors. We welcome into the program Charlene Rodriguez, a colleague and friend for many years. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And of course, Charlene is the executive director of the Lafourche Council on Aging. And I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, how are things going at the council? A couple years of COVID, then a year after Ida. How are things going for you guys?
Actually, it's going well. We're finally getting back into the routine of doing things that we normally been doing.
Right.
We actually, since COVID and Ida, started a drive-by meal service. Instead of them going to the senior sites, they
Right.
can go drive-by and pick up a meal. They have to be registered. You know how they do.
Sure,
60
sure.
years of age or older. And all they have to do is call the senior manager, and they could get a drive-by luncheon, which is a plus because a lot of people are still working.
Right,
And
right.
especially those who have their houses that have been damaged. They're still working on them, and they don't have time to come and socialize. They just want to pick up something and go. And especially in the Downby area, you know, a lot of restaurants are still not opened.
Right.
The IGA just opened just recently, and it's been rough for them. So we like to help out in any which way we could. So we are at 238 Bowie Road in Raceland. It's behind the Pink School in Raceland.
Right.
We have relocated temporarily because of Ida. Our building had been damaged, and Archie asked us to move, you know, to find another place until they could repair it. So that's what we did. And the American Legion in Raceland gladly opened its doors to us and allowed us to go there. So
Wow. And right there off Bowie Road, right there in Raceland.
Right.
And so very glad that y'all are there. But so having people kind of come and just get their food, it's one of the creative ways y'all have been able to adjust for dealing with
Right.
where we were after Ida.
right, and you don't realize when things like that happen how many changes you have to make. You know, you calling on the phone to talk to people, and now their phone numbers have changed, or they've moved, and it's so hard to, you know, get back in touch with them. So we ask anybody that's hearing this that if you moved and still need our services and we couldn't locate you, please call us and we'll find you.
Right, and so the council on
Especially
Aging
if you
didn't want to
move.
stop.
Right.
Like, we didn't want to just stop taking care of you. They
Right.
didn't want to stop doing that, but they may have had trouble reaching you, or may have had
Right.
trouble reaching out to you. You know, a lot of people, like you said, lost phone service, lost phones.
Lost phones.
You know, I mean, just
Have new phone numbers.
that's exactly right. Or staying with different family members.
Right.
And sometimes that scenario is different. Sometimes we have several people who are elderly, 60 years or older, in the same place, and they need services,
Exactly.
but they're in a different place.
Right. And a lot of them still didn't know how to reach us either. So that's why I said I better go on the radio, on the TV, and just let them know we're at 238 Bowie Road in Raceland. And it's in what the people used to call the bingo hall in Raceland.
The
if
bingo
you're not
hall.
familiar where it's at.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And just so people know, Archie didn't kick you out.
No.
He just said, hey, we need to do repairs. We need to
Right.
take care of this building. And fortunately, y'all have such a great working relationship with
Right.
Lafourche Parish government. And Archie's so great to work with. And so just being able to be in that temporary place, and everybody needs to be understanding a temporary place is what a lot of us had to do.
That's right. Yes. Everybody, a lot of us had to relocate. So
Yeah.
it's not only the seniors, it's us too. And it is frustrating, you know, after a while, because when things like that happen, I mean, I had one of my workers in Texas, I had one in Lafayette, you know, was trying to move and do everything we had to do. It was very stressful. So I can about imagine what the seniors went through, you know. And we didn't move once, we moved twice, because we moved to the St. Hilary building.
Right.
And then Holy Savior had to come there, so we had to move from the St. Hilary building and find another building. It
Right.
wasn't easy, so I could just about imagine,
Yeah,
you know, what people go through.
Yeah, feeling displaced is not
It's
an
not
easy
easy.
feeling. It's difficult to deal with. But at the same time, we want to make sure that the seniors know that they're valuable. We
That's
need to
right.
know that they
That's right.
count, and they just need to call. And so let's
That's
give out
right.
that number, and just in case they're
985-532-0457.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, that like number never goes away from me. Like, it always stays. And God knows I'll call you often enough to kind of make requests for people. And we know that there are a lot of people that are out there that are needing services, and we're wanting to get them. Can we just kind of, as we have a couple of minutes left, just go over some of the services that y'all are able to provide right now? Because some of those
Okay.
have been changing.
We are providing transportation services. We just ask the people to be patient with us because, again, just like everybody else, it's hard to find dependable workers.
Right.
We are providing homemaker services people that clean houses. Again, we have a waiting list for that because we're
Right.
looking for employees for that too. We provide meals like to the home delivery
Home delivery,
clients and
right.
to the senior centers. We provide bathing, like if they need home health agency and the doctor says, well, all you need is bathing, so we don't just provide that. We have a contract and we do that also.
Right.
We also do respite. If you're taking care of someone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you need relief, we'll go sit with, well, somebody will go sit with them 4 hours a week to
Right.
give them that relief. They could either go run pay bills, they could sleep in another room, go in another room, read a book, or do whatever they need.
Right.
You know.
And that's typically Monday through Friday in
Right.
4-hour blocks, either 8 to 12 or 1 to 5.
Exactly.
Typically. And so
Right.
a lot of people ask about weekends. And so it's just one
Right.
of those things I
No,
want to make
no.
sure I clarify.
It's not weekends.
It's difficult to get people to come in and do that. It's hard to
Right.
find staff to provide that
Exactly.
program through your respite
Yes.
program as it is, much less being able to do that.
Exactly.
So we're
Yes.
excited. So again, a lot of programs, people just need to be understanding that we all have staffing shortages. And so
Exactly.
we're dealing with that. So just be patient if you don't mind. You're going to get on there and just get you on the waiting list as soon as you
Right.
can.
And I always put the openings on my Facebook page too and on my
Okay.
website. So if you see it, share it.
Yeah, let people know and do that.
Let people-
Very glad to have the resources. Again, people need to be understanding about the staffing and some of the staffing challenges. But let's talk about your annual health fair. It's nice that y'all are
Yes.
back to be able to do that.
We're going to have our annual health fair on September the 29th from 9 to 12 at the Raceland Ag Building, 115 Texas Street in Raceland. And we're going to have a lot of new vendors, and they'll be giving out different resources and things available for the seniors in Lafourche Parish. We'll be giving out flu shots, COVID shots. I'm not sure if the pneumonia shot's going to be available, but we can ask.
And so we're working on that.
Right.
So lots of different people. We talk about it all the time at our senior networking organization meeting
Right.
about things that are coming up. That's one of the things that a lot of the organizations were excited about.
Right.
Being able to do that again and just get word out to the seniors
Yes.
about what's available.
To let them know what's out there, because it's a big deal for them, you know.
Right. And so again, it's 115 Texas Drive at the
Raceland Ag Building.
Raceland Ag Building. Okay. And so I know we haven't had that in quite a while.
Right, it's been 2 years.
2 years, and so this is kind of the first time in 3 years that
Right.
you'll be able to do that. Have you gotten some feedback from some of the seniors, or some feedback about their excitement level about being able to do that?
They were excited. Actually, July 4th, we had a, well, not July 4th, but it was in
That
June,
week.
the end of June,
Right.
for the July 4th celebration. We did get a lot of seniors who participated and really enjoyed it, and that's what they said. They'd like to come together with a group of people like that so that they could get out the house and not just stay there, you know, learn different things that different people are doing and things like that. So-
Right. And the other thing is that it's some extensions of what y'all are already
Right.
doing. Home healths are there, hospice
Right.
is there. Talking about some of those availabilities that a lot of people don't necessarily know about.
Right, right.
That are impacting the seniors, and letting them get out. It's such good for
Right.
their mental health.
Right, right.
You know, and that's just been a challenge.
And you know,
of
Keith,
late.
I was in Lafayette this week, like I told you, for a training, and somebody mentioned something that just threw me, and you don't really realize it. Fire marshal was there, and she said when your outreach worker goes to the homes, if they have a heater on the floor, she said tilt that heater. If that heater doesn't go off, tell them to throw it out immediately, because it's not up to date, and that's what causes house fires. Get them one that has this shut-off switch.
a shut-off switch
And
whenever
I
it's
never
moved.
would have even thought about it, you know, but you do know that they do that now.
Right.
But who'd ever thought to even think of telling your seniors that? You know, just little simple things like that. And I always tell my people, if you go to a meeting and you learn at least one thing, you've learned a lot. You know, so I when I got back to the office, that's the first thing I told them. You know, it's just a get together where people talk and they learn different things. And they could take it home to others, you know, where they'll learn, you know, teach others different things that they've learned, you know, which is a big help.
I think my wife has an outdated heater.
See?
Yeah. And so they need to be able to have an automatic shut off, right?
right.
And so if you simply move that heater, it will shut off.
Right.
And so it's just one of the, and they're on timers as well.
Right.
That we need to be aware of. And so you bring up one of those things that's important, is it safety for the
Yes,
seniors
safety.
in their home is
And
so
the
very
rugs,
important.
too. That's another thing that they trip and fall on all the time.
I've
So-
never met a physical therapist who's ever liked throw rugs in homes, ever. And so physical therapists are one of those people that remind us that The other thing that happens is, small dogs,
Right. Animals.
animals that can trip up, because very often the animal, they're trying to be accommodating, they're actually
Right,
trying to be
right.
supportive, but sometimes they're so close,
Right.
that can be a difficult thing. We need to think about that for our
Right.
seniors.
And Keith, that's one big thing too that we made our seniors aware. Our employees are not allowed in the house if the dogs or the cats are not picked up because of the accidents that happen with them. And that's one thing. Some of them will refuse because the animals are like their children.
Correct.
But it's for their safety as well as ours.
Sometimes the animals are more important than their children, and that's
It's true,
one of those
it's
things.
true.
And sometimes the animals are their family.
Exactly.
It's only people that they're
Yes.
only whom they consider people, and that is their
Yes.
connection for their family. But again, so that's a really important point. So these services are available, like we mentioned in the first segment, for people to go out and get that help. We're going to have the health fair, which is on September the 29th. At the Ag Building. And so that's important to realize at 115 Texas. And also to just make sure that our seniors are aware of some of the guidelines about that. And so if somebody's coming to provide a home delivery meal, that needs to be, the
Right.
dog or animal needs to be picked up.
Exactly, and that's what they tell them all the time. They need to be picked up because even if they come in to clean the house, they could trip and fall between the mop and the broom and the dog or the cat, and
Right.
things like that. So yes, it's very important that they know that.
Okay, very, very good. And so one of the other things that we talk about very often is just this ability to be able to get out. Coming out of COVID and in the recovery of Ida, people trying to come and get out, it's important for families to realize that seniors who can get out,
Right.
they need to be able to do that.
Yes.
In fact, they can still be considered homebound by our decision through home health, through the government, through CMS. Homebound doesn't mean you have to stay at home.
Right.
It means that it's still a little difficult for you to get out, but it's okay to get out.
Right.
And we know from a mental health standpoint that's so very important.
It is very important.
Yeah, and it's why it's important for y'all to be able to have this health fair.
Right.
Get back to it. We know we're going to do flu and COVID shots and possibly even doing the pneumonia vaccine.
Right.
So you'll provide more information
Right.
about that. If people want more information, where can they get it?
They could call the Council on Aging at 985-532-0457.
Or they can go to y'all
Or they can go
website
to
or Facebook
our
page.
website. That's right.
And
I
your
don't have a
Facebook.
Facebook page.
No,
I have
no,
a website.
Website. Colleen, talking about all of these things that you guys provide, and it's a lot of stuff. One of the things that I think is very important is being able to get these resources out, these commodities available, and doing it at these different sites is helpful, but sometimes we have to make some changes.
Yes, yes. And unfortunately, this month we do. Well,
Okay.
not this month. It's in,
September,
right. Raceland Commodities is still going to be on September 22nd. But cutoff commodities was supposed to be on September 26th. We had to change it back to the 28th. And in Thibodeau was the 28th. Now it has to go back to the 26th. We had to swap it out because cutoff has their fair around
Okay,
that time.
and they're doing it then. So
And they're
let's
doing it
give
then.
those dates out,
Okay.
when people can get commodities, and exactly what days they can go and do that. So,
Okay, Raceland, it's at our office on the 22nd of September.
Right.
Cutoff is on the 28th of September,
and that location
and that
is
location is the Cutoff Youth
Center, right.
And the Thibodeau Civic Center is September the 26th.
September the 26th.
And that's from 7 to 9, and we remind everybody to bring the paper the lady gave them to register them again for commodities. Make sure you bring your paper with you when you come back.
And that's something that they can get from your
Right.
office.
Yes.
So if you haven't registered for that, you need to go and do that. You need to get that paperwork
Right.
to be able to provide that, to pick up your commodities.
Right.
And get that at all three of those locations. One of those being at the at where your office is.
Right. You have to pick up the paper at our office, or, if you want it, you could register on site the day you go pick up commodities. So there's no need to go ahead of time. You could pick it up
Get
that
the
morning.
paperwork then and fill
From
that out.
7 to 9.
7 to 9.
And
So
don't
that,
come a minute after 9, because they're not
no,
gonna serve
that's
you.
exactly right. They have to have a hard stopping point.
Yeah.
So 7 to 9 is there for a reason. A little bit of a line at 7.
Yes.
But it goes very smoothly.
Right,
And y'all have a
right.
great system for that. And so it's
Thank you.
appreciated. So some other very important dates. Let's talk about those Medicare Part D enrollment dates, because those matter as well.
Okay. Enrollment dates is October 7th through December 15th, and the reason I'm here now is because we're starting to take appointments starting for October 7th through December 15th. The appointments fill up fast, so Nita did send out all the flyers in the mail to remind everybody, and sent them the little paper to fill out and send back to us. So as soon as they could get that back to us, the sooner we can make an appointment for them.
And so those appointments are because they have professionals at the office that can help individuals figure out if a Part D plan is good and which one will work best for that particular individual. There are lots of different tiers of these medications.
Yes.
And so fortunately, Charlene's got a great team about being able to share with you and looking at, there's a website that helps
Right.
plugging that information in and telling you which of the Part D plans is best for you. I do want to make sure that people understand a Medicare Part D plan is not the same as a Medicare replacement plan.
That's right.
So please know that those are different.
Right, right. And it does, every year, the prescription drugs go up, some of them go down, some of them are no longer covered. So I tell
Right.
everybody, let us sit down with you, let us look at it over, make sure that it's the cheapest, the best plan for you, because, again, my mother-in-law had a plan that was paying everything for this one medication. The following year, she'd have paid $100. So even if
Per
you stay
prescription,
on this,
probably.
for the prescription, exactly.
right.
So even if you think that's your best plan, and even if it is, it doesn't matter. You're not wasting our time, you're not wasting yours. It's best for you to do it.
And all of those things can change. So they can
Right.
change year by year. Sometimes they change in the middle of the year even,
Right.
if there's some pharmaceutical changes. And keep in mind, the pharmaceutical industry is also challenged with getting all of their supplies that they need. So we need to
Right.
check on that, because some
Right.
medications change, and sometimes those medicines they go from their main prescription to becoming a no-name brand.
Right.
And so that's something that you can get,
Right,
a generic
cheaper.
brand, that is. And so that's different.
Right,
So
right.
another very important date is people need to think about the millage that's coming up in November.
Right.
So let's talk about how that vote is changing and why y'all are changing the wording of that.
Okay, we're changing the wording of the millage because at this time, we can't build or buy any property or build anywheres with the millage. It's still gonna be 2 mills, just the way it is. It's just renewal and rewording so that we can build or buy somewhere else. It's nice being in the parish government building, but if you have to move so often and now we're paying rent, I'd rather stick to buying our own building and not having to pay rent. I'd rather be a good steward of taxpayers' dollars than having to continue renting and it, costs us more in the long run.
And so it's just one of those things where I don't think people always realize. They say, oh, well, they're getting these 2 mills, where's it going? Well, if that money's going to rent, then it's not money that can be better used. If you can use it for your own building, then you can probably use a lot more of that money in services.
That's right.
Somewhere else.
That's right.
And resources somewhere
Right.
else. We got about a minute left. Kind of just want you to maybe just a little bit of a wrap up or an overview about what people need to know and hear about with the Lafourche Council on Aging.
The Lafourche Council on Aging is open, serving clients, and still looking for employees if anybody's interested. Please contact us. We have a lot of part-time openings. Don't forget the open enrollment from October 7th through December 15th. Our
Right.
annual health fair is on October 29th. Commodities in Raceland is going to be the 22nd of September. In Cutoff, it's going to be the 28th of September, and in Thibodeau, it's going to be the 26th of September.
Some great information, and look out in November when it comes time for the millage to be passed. We take pride in our areas that we take care of our own. The best way to be able to do that is to go and vote yes for the millage as they change the verbiage a little bit so that we can continue that 2 mills and we can continue to take care of the seniors in our community. Thank you for you and your team and what y'all do for taking care of our
Thank
seniors.
you. We appreciate y'all having us.
Absolutely. All right, guys, and that will do it for this particular segment, letting you know what's coming up, letting you know what's going on, and making sure we keep you connected with all of the resources in our area. That will do it for this particular segment of Bayou Time. Don't go anywhere, a lot more local programming here on HTV.